Hello, my lovely 8th graders. Today we are going to go through some previous Learn Check questions to help work on our test strategies. So the first question says, trilobites are extinct animals that lived in the oceans. Fossils of these animals can be found in dry areas such as Cincinnati. What does this indicate? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight what I think is important. So I'm going to say extinct animals. I'm going to say lived in the oceans. This thing doesn't ever like to work for me, so I apologize for that. All right, so lived in the oceans, and now they're found in Cincinnati. Well, I am from Ohio. I know that Cincinnati is in Ohio, and I know that there are definitely no oceans in Cincinnati. So I have to think to myself, how could that be possible that there's something that were ocean animals that are now found in Cincinnati? So I have trilobites now live underground. Does that even make sense to go with the question? No. Trilobites are the ancestors of jellyfish. Does that really make sense of the question that if they're ancestors of them, they would still have to live in the ocean? So that one doesn't make sense either. So I'm down. So I would technically slash these out, but I can't do that with this thing. So C, Cincinnati was once covered by the ocean where trilobites lived. Okay. Or D, the environment changed, creating small saltwater lakes in Cincinnati. Well, there's not really saltwater lakes in Cincinnati, so the correct answer is going to be C. And the way I'm going to remember that or think about it is that Cincinnati is, I know, not in a place where there is now oceans, but if I think back to Earth history, the world was once in one big mass as Pangea in a different part of the Earth. And slowly as it separated, that is why we find things like trilobites that were once ocean animals in Cincinnati. Or maybe even we find fossils of tropical plants in like the Arctic where we know it's really cold. All right, so let's look at the next question. A paleontologist observes similar reptiles in the same rock layers in a cliff and none in the rock layers above, which is the most likely explanation from this observation. So let's highlight what's important. So we're going to say similar reptiles, rock layers in a cliff and none in the rock layers above. And then I'm going to say most likely explanation. So let's look at our answer choices. We have A, the continents separated, B, the reptiles moved to a new area, or C, the reptiles evolved into a new species. Which one of these seems to make the most sense based on what we know about Earth history? I'm going to go with A, the continent separated. This kind of goes with the last question. So A is our correct answer choice. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Geologists are conducting research in Hawaii. Which rock will be most abundant? Okay, so I need to know where they're doing the research, so it's Hawaii. And I think about Hawaii, and one of the things I know about Hawaii is they have lots and lots of volcanoes. Okay, I'm also going to highlight the word abundant, which when you say something is abundant, that means that you have a lot of them. So if I know that I have lots of volcanoes in Hawaii, I know volcanoes are most associated with igneous rocks because igneous rocks are when molten magma cools and hardens. So I'm going to pick igneous. Okay, which can scientists most likely conclude from discovering tropical plant fossils at the North Pole? So let's go with most likely conclude. And then let's go tropical plant fossils and North Pole. I'll just do the whole thing because it's easier for me on here. Okay, so this kind of goes back to like the trilobites in Cincinnati. We know that the North Pole is very cold, that there's not going to be tropical plants at the North Pole. So how could that be possible? We have to think back before everything drifted apart. It was one big mass kind of over the center, like close to the equator. So my answer choice is temperatures at the North Pole were once much warmer. B, only a few species of plants used to grow at the North Pole. C, ancient plants mutated to survive in the cold polar climate of the North Pole. Or D, higher levels of carbon dioxide once existed in the atmosphere at the North Pole? Well, right away, D is a stupid answer choice, so I'm going to get rid of that one. That one doesn't even make sense, okay? B, only a few plant species used to grow at the North Pole. Well, that doesn't explain why the tropical piece, so I'm going to get rid of that one. So I have A and I have C. Temperatures at the North Pole were much warmer, or ancient plants mutated to survive in the cold polar climate of the North Pole. So could the plants have possibly mutated? Maybe, but they're still not going to make them seem like tropical plants. So my best answer choice, again, going back to Pangea before continental drift and plate tectonics, is going to be the temperatures at the North Pole were once warmer. So I hope this helps, and make sure today when you take your Learn Check that you underline the important words and you slash the track.